Hey everyone, Derpy here, and I'm going to be talking about how to kill Draconian Mega Convoys, Part 2, Enemy Ships. If you haven't seen Part 1, the link should be in the description, go check that out now. So I'm going to talk about all the enemy ships in these targets and what you need to do to kill them. A lot of the stuff on here, ideas were taken from a forum post by the Vengeful One. You can go check that out, link for that will be in the description also. And I'm going to give advice on both the scattergun and missile versions of ships. So for the enemy Draconian Interceptor, it can be outranged using missiles, and it also has an acceleration stat similar to that of the Apollo, so it will start speeding up once it's been moving for a little while. That means it's easier to take out at the very beginning. It also has missiles with about 96 range, and those missiles can be countered by countermeasures such as Sprint or Phalanx or Missile Defense System 1, 2, or 3. And it also has a short-range scattergun, but you shouldn't really have to come into contact at all with that because you shouldn't ever be getting that close. Next up is the Kodiak, and that's very similar. It can be outranged using missile fleets like Phoenix or missile manticores, and it has more missiles, like more guns, than the Interceptor. Once again, also has the acceleration stat, so it's easier to take it out at the very beginning. And weapons are the same. It's got the same missile, same short range weapon here. I like to prioritize Kodiaks over the Interceptor unless it's a weird situation. Next up is the Prototype Interceptor. And the Prototype Interceptor is the same as the regular one, except it has a prototype missile that cannot be countered. So it shoots at you and none of your countermeasures are going to work against it. And prototype weapons, like the missiles it fires, are more damaging, deals more damage than the regular weapons. But they're also limited in supply, so once it runs out, it can't shoot any more prototype weapons at you and will just shoot regular weapons at you, I guess. So they're limited in supply, but they can be refilled if there's a Draconian ammo carrier nearby, which we'll talk about later. Most of the time, it's not an issue, and you end up killing it before it empties out anyway and has a chance to refill. Next up is the Prototype Kodiak. It's the same as the regular Kodiak with weapons, but it has a prototype missile that cannot be countered and that outranges your fleet. And the prototype weapon deals splash damage, but it's not as damaging as the regular missiles, but it hits more ships at once. So I like to prioritize this ship because it deals the most damage to my fleet and it outranges you in most cases. So I like to prioritize this one first, and there are weird patterns it drives around, and I might get into those to part 3 if I have enough time to make a part 3 video. Anyway, up next is the Draconian Turret Carrier, aka the Big Fatty, as Rue has trademarked this. So, the Turret Carrier is missile turrets will outrange all ships, and sprints were most effective as of last raid for shooting these down. Someone said it was 100%, but I use Phalanx on mine that shoots down most of the missiles from these. So when you're attacking this, you should be able to outrange the scatter turrets. And you can only kill the hole after you kill the turret here. You have to kill all those 4 things on top before you can actually shoot and kill the hole. And those little turrets on top, they deal turret damage, so anything like assault battery, siege battery 4, whatever, those will help to mitigate the damage from that. Next up is the ammo carrier, and that has a short-range scattergun. That's its only weapon, and you should be able to outrange that in all times here. And it will refill the proto weapons on the prototype holes. So Kixeye is saying you should kill this first, but I don't really think it's that big of an issue, and I ended up killing most of the prototype holes in 1 or 2 volleys anyway. So there are 2 versions of the ship. One has a ring and one does not have a ring. The one with the ring has a limited range and it can only refill ships inside the blue aura. If the ship has that little blue icon but does not have a ring, it can refill ships across the entire map. And once again, it has a speed mechanic, acceleration mechanic similar to the Apollo, so it's easier to kill before it starts moving much. 2 more here. So the missile turret is only found in the 87 target so far, although I would not be surprised if we see it in a new SZ target next month. I've noticed a pattern going on across the last year or so. Anyway, it appears to be identical to the missiles on the turret carrier, so you use building, defense, and damage to help take care of it, and sprints once again appear most effective, but other anti-missiles like Phalanx will also work against this turret here. Lastly, we have the yellow clouds here, and the clouds there's clouds, they sit there and they don't move around. I heard someone say they pop up, but I'm not sure about that. So they have an area of effect damage. If you go into them, you're going to get damaged. And do not ever go into the clouds because there's no way to prevent damage and you'll take massive damage and have a really bad time if you go in there. It's a huge toxic waste thing, and you stay out. It's like urine on the map. You just don't go in there. And it can be especially harmful to KDs from what I've read, because the KDs, you can't really control those drones there. They just kind of go every which way, so just be mindful of that. So once again, that's all the time I've got for today's video. If you went all the way up to this point, comment something, a useful tip in the YouTube comment section below to help someone else. And make sure to stay tuned for part 3 if I decide to do that, on how to drive your ships properly. And as always, this is Derpy, signing out, helping you be a better pirate.